What is up, heroes? This is Midnight Zero, and welcome to a quick little update about the SFL. This is about what's called free agency, and what this means is if there was a Pokemon you drafted, and at any point during the season, it was just made available this recent week, you can actually exchange one of your drafted Pokemon for a Pokemon that was left undrafted, and you can only do this once per season, and I have actually already done my exchange. And so what you're going to see is my exchange was I got rid of Mega Metagross. Now, I love Mega Metagross. It was my first pick. It was my Mega pick, and I think it's really good this metagame. With Meteor Mash, incredible coverage, and solid defensive typing, and a solid speed tier, hitting all of the new Tapus hard, in addition to some pretty strong priority with Bullet Punch. I really do think it is a great Mon, and on almost any team I'd love to use it. However, with the way the rest of my draft went, I think I would have rather gone with my second option Mega that I also thought would be really great in this metagame. Now, Mega Metagross being another ground weakness means that when teams prep against me, they really only need to worry about ground. There isn't some sort of Mon that only has one striking weakness that absolutely needs to be prepared for, because my team as a whole is weak to ground right now. So when I was thinking about what I wanted to switch out, because I did want to switch out after this most recent week's loss, and I'll talk about that later, I needed to get a ground resist. Not just get rid of my ground weakness with Metagross, but I want to get a ground resist. But at the same time, I didn't want to lose a lot of what Mega Metagross brought to the table. And that was a hard-hitting steel type to hit a lot of the incoming fairies. And a decent amount of coverage. So I don't know, you're probably thinking about it. You probably just don't think couldn't even believe that this Mon went undrafted. But the Pokemon I exchanged my Mega Metagross for is Mega Scizor. Now, Mega Scizor in Gen 6 was probably one of the best Pokemon in OU, at least in my opinion. It's got incredible attack stat, defense stat, SPDEF. It's got some solid bulk, and it's got a great typing in Steel and Bug, which means it is only weak to Fire type. And it's 4 times weak, but it's only weak to Fire types. So with its decent bulk and its solid typing, it's able to do a lot. It's able to sponge hits, and what's really cool and what's actually different about Mega Scizor, one of its main key differences from Mega Metagross, is that you're probably looking, Mega Scizor's got an attack stat of 150, Mega Metagross has 145, but Mega Metagross has Tough Claws, which boosts that attack even higher, and gets access to stuff like Meteor Mash, which is just so much stronger than Bullet Punch. Well, Mega Scizor gets great priority with Bullet Punch, and it's stronger priority than Mega Metagross. But what's also really cool is because Mega Scizor relies on its priority moves, and its strongest move is that Bullet Punch, well, one of its strongest moves, and it's arguably one of the strongest priority moves in the game. You don't need to invest in speed like you do with Mega Metagross. So, despite having slightly worse bulk with regards to defense, HP, and SPDEF, you're actually able to invest more in that SPDEF, that HP, that defense, to give it better overall bulk, in addition to having fewer type weaknesses than Mega Metagross. Also, being slow gives it a slow U-turn on a lot of things. And that was something else I felt was really missing on my team, is that U-turn, that Volt Switch, that momentum that is really helpful for hyper offense. A lot of harder hitting teams need those sort of slow Volt Turners to bring in their threats. And that's what Mega Scizor can do. Mega Scizor also can run Defog, it can run bulkier with Roost, it can set up with SD. So even though its attack is slightly lower, or its attack might be slightly lower after like a Tough Claws boost, and considering the higher base power of Meteor Mash, it's actually able to increase its attack a lot faster than Mega Metagross, which can only really increase its attack with something like Home Claws, and increase its speed with Rock Polish. But with Mega Scizor, you're not even really concerned with speed in the first place. Mega Scizor can also actually run Tailwind, so if I anticipate losing this thing, I can run Tailwind to set up for later sweepers, like with something like Gengar or Ferronape, Circuitry, these hard-hitting Mons that need that extra little bit of speed to invest in sheer power. Bullet Punch is great, Bug Bite is great. It just recently got Brutal Swing, which hits super hard, much like Knockoff. Super Power, Defog, Roost, SD. I've already mentioned U-turn, I think. Yeah, it's just really great. It's a ground resistance, and when teams prep for my team now, they need to consider Mega Scizor. They need to think about priority, and they need to bring something that hits hard on the fire side. They need to bring fire types. If a Mon has a coverage move, they have to consider, do I want to bring a ground type move on this Mon or a fire type move on this Mon? Do I run around Hidden Power Ground or Hidden Power Fire? Do I want to make a slot for Flamethrower or Earth Power? And that sort of divide makes it easier for the rest of my ground weak team to, well, essentially just stay alive. So I do think Mega Scizor overall was a great pick, and if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, let me know in the comments below. Yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys think about it too. And before I end off the video, I do want to make a quick note about the last game. I was pretty salty, not because of the loss, but I hate losing, or really just in general, playing a battle when both people aren't at their best and not on the same page. And I felt like I was battling a team that I wasn't actually battling. And Austin definitely played a lot better than he had in the past, and he played well. But like I said, I thought I was playing a normal type Null, or a normal Silvally, and he was playing with a ground type Silvally. And it definitely affected my plans for the post game, having to sack a Drapion a lot earlier, having to not just straight up Oko it with what's it called, close combat, having to risk 2 speed ties with Drapion. And of course I did make a couple misplays, one of which was going for Meteor Mash instead of Hammer Arm with my Mega Metagross, and then not going for Bullet Punch afterwards, which would have prevented rocks, and so I could keep the Sash on my Infernape, which would have been really helpful for beating that Lucario. But yeah, so it's not like I played perfectly, and you know, the paralysis, that one turn on Mega Metagross where I would have gotten the Meteor Mash was huge too, in helping prevent get up rocks. But like stuff like that, like hacks is part of the game, so you have to come to accept it whenever it happens. But not knowing what Pokemon you're going up against when you've agreed to like knowing. And Austin didn't know that I didn't know, so like it's not his fault or anything like that. I'm not mad at Austin, but it wasn't evident from the team preview what his Silvally was, and that's part of the reason this league exists, is to kind of experiment, to kind of test, to find these little glitches, these problems beforehand, so that we can, for future seasons, do a lot better to make sure everyone's on the same page and see whether or not certain mons are broken or not. But I'm looking forward to a rematch, hopefully if we make playoffs, and hopefully if Austin makes playoffs as well. But yeah, that's about all I gotta say. I guess in retrospect, also team building things I could have done. Scarf Zerk should just probably be a lot more common on my team, or running a Balloon Mon if necessary. That said, I don't think ground type moves will be as present on future teams now, given the presence of Mega Scizor, but obviously it'll still be something worth considering. And yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on Mega Scizor for Mega Metagross in the comments below, and if you're hyped for week 3, because this should be another solid battle. But until that battle, this has been Midnight Zero, and this mission is complete.